So our program today is mostly about outgoing referrals. So we have 4 people who are willing to share their experience, and if they would like to come up, we have Andy Zako, Ken Barnes, Jory Matul, and Candy Warren. And they're going to share their experience and their success with an outgoing referral. We're going to start with Jory and work our way down. And I didn't have to twist their arm to come up in. And they happily said yes when I asked them. So, Jory?
Okay, so I want to say about 6 months ago or so, I had somebody that I know from the Y. I didn't know this, but she gets her nails done right by the Crown Point office. And you know, when you get your nails done, you go in every 2 weeks. So she would say that every time I go get my nails done, I see the McCauley sign. I know you work there. I never stopped in, but I'm thinking of putting my house on the market coming up. So I'm going to stop in and see if I can find Jory. So I was there. We sat down and talked. She shared that her husband was getting to be a retirement age, and she was already retired, and they're going to be moving, and they like the Kentucky area. And but she came in to see, could I just come by, give her some tips on getting her house ready to be sold. So I got that information about her house here and everything, and then so I dug a little deeper. And you know, so you're moving to Kentucky, you know, you're going to retire there? And she said yes. They want this to be their forever house. I asked, you know, have you been there before? She said, well, we've taken some drives out there, and we have a couple areas we really like. So she said she's been just like searching herself and trying to find out what prices are. And I said, you know, I can help you with that. And she said, you can? You know, and I said, well, sure I can. I said, you know, through the leading real estate companies in the world, we have connections, you know, all over. So I can put you in touch with a good agent that will, you know, be able to do searches for you and maybe set up some showings next time you go out there. She told me they go out every couple months and just take a drive. So I got the information, filled out the form, got it over to Debbie. I think Debbie gave me a call, just get some more information. I think Debbie then calls the client, or that buyer, or the buyer, and got some information. Later that day, I get a phone call, and it was from the nicest gentleman with that southern accent, you know, and I knew this was going to be a good fit. You know, people are real laid back, and he just wanted to thank me for the referral, and that he already had made contact with my person, and he's going to get him on a search. So how I left it with her is, you know, in 2 weeks when you come back for your nail appointment, stop by and let's have a cup of coffee together, you know, just come on in. And so she came back for a nail appointment, and I said, so what, you know, how's it going? And she goes, well, I forget the guy's name, it might have been Dennis. Didn't Dennis call you yesterday? And I said, well, no. And she said, oh, he's going to call you today. We bought a house. I said, what? Whoa. She said, well, he sent me something that looks too good to be true. And so we took a drive out just this past weekend. I think it was a Monday that she told me this. This weekend we drove out there, and we found something, and we just knew, you know when you know it. And this was the one. It was the right distance from home so we can get back and visit our kids. With a 6-hour drive maybe or something like that. We put an offer in, it got accepted, and I just have to tell you guys, because I had no idea like what to expect on what the check would be. And I don't think I even asked or anything like that. I was thinking I'm going to get one of those $50 things, that's all. And maybe a chance for a free leading RE trip, you know, those were my only things I thought of. And I have to tell you, I had a regular closing around the same time that this actually closed. And so you know how you get that automatic deposit in your account. The other closing was, you know, maybe a 130 price range. This house they bought was, I think, around closer to 300 maybe. But when the 2 deposits came in my account, I couldn't tell by looking at it, just by looking at my checking account, which was which. That's how big the checks are.
Awesome.
Yeah. So on whatever percentage we get, I don't even really know, but it was just nice. She comes in, one call, you know, one piece of paper, and done. That's my story.
Awesome.
So I'm 11 for 11 on outgoing referrals.
Oh. last year was actually a walk-in from the Sheriffville, at the Sheriffville office. The lady came in with her son, who had a duck to come in the front door because he was like 6'9". And they were here scoping out St. John and Munster for him to come and play basketball. So we went in the conference room and I asked him right away, you have a house in Granger, I think it was, in Indiana? And they said yes, and I asked if they had an agent yet, and they said no, so I immediately went into my spiel about that and hooked them up with a good agent out there, and their house sold in 2 weeks out there, $425,000. But basically I was listening, so when she said no, I asked right away, and it's really all you have to do is just ask.
Well, I have a question.
Yes.
What's your spiel?
Your spiel. Thanks. I just immediately tell them about the network, and then me personally, I have a success story to share. So I shared that with her too, and she was impressed, and it worked out fine. However, I do have to admit that somehow I lost those people on the buyer's end to Matt Maloney somehow. But I think maybe they called a listing, or I'm not sure what happened. But
Well, my experience is a little bit different. First of all, let me ask everybody a question. How many of you think that all agents are created equal? How many of you think that we have every area of the country is probably has the same distribution of agents as we do here? Well, part of what we do is add value to our clients, whether they're here or somewhere else. And the biggest thing that we can do is offer an agent of value in another part of the country. That's the way I look at it. I don't have 11 for 11, nor do I have a nail story. My story's a little bit different. Last year, I have friends all over the country. I've lived in other places, and so I have friends all over the country. And whenever you visit friends, all they want to talk about is real estate, blah, 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 what's going on with real estate. And so I got a call from some friends that live in Kentucky, oddly enough, in the Louisville area. And they had been working with the same agent for 20 years. This was last summer. And that agent ran for town council or something, and they couldn't get a hold of him anymore, and this sort of thing. And so they limped along with that agent for whatever transaction that was. And then their son moved back to the area this year. And they called me to see if I could sell their son a home in Louisville. And I said, well, no. But I can refer you to someone that can sell you a home in Louisville. And so I did. They sent a terrific agent out there. But this one thing I did learn, the more involved I am with the referral agent on the other end, the better the transaction. This guy called me. I even stole some lingo from him that he would tell me in his southern way. And he kept me in touch every step of the way. And if he had any glitches whatsoever, then he would call me so that I could be ready to intervene on his behalf with my friends down there in Louisville.
Wow. Nice.
And so now I have an incoming that the agent that sent the referral, the lady is moving back here from New Mexico. Her agent is actually writing the offers with me over the phone and then going over the offers with her client. So anyway, if there are agents, I know, this is hard for me to believe that somebody wouldn't want to work with me again. But I'm sure there's one or two out there, and there's maybe one or two that I would prefer not to work with again. And if it's that way here, it's an added value to our friends, family, and clients to give them an agent of value in another location.
So I've been fortunate, we've been part of the Macaulay family now for, I think, almost 8 years now, and prior to that, it was always a challenge to find someone outside of our little area of Bourbonnais to try to help someone that we have family or family friends with moving to a different area. It was a, okay, well, I'm going to open up the, go onto the internet and try to figure out, well, who in the world am I going to find down there, and are they going to be a good match for my client? Well, now it's become pretty easy, I've done, I want to say 4 or 5, I think now, over the last couple of years.